Back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for cash tags. For that, let's bring in our next guest. That's going to be Megan Brantley, VP of Research at LikeFolio. Welcome to the show, Megan.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so we're talking airlines. We had the tragedy with Boeing, but we're going to flip it and go to the retail side, airlines. We're going to look at UAL. The stocks pulled back pretty sharply from those all-time highs that we saw in January. It's been a really volatile year for the airlines. They were crushing it at the end, from the middle of 2024 into the beginning of this year. But now we're seeing fits and starts, maybe recessionary fears, maybe spending. The prices on plane tickets have actually come down the last 3 months in a row. So that's probably going to hurt their revenue and their margins, especially, Megan. What kind of data are you guys seeing out of the airlines? Because while they've rebounded a little bit, they're still far below the levels that we saw in January.
Yeah, so whenever we look at the airlines across the board, we have a little bit of weakness in those forward-looking booking, at least in the data that we have. We have a decline in year-over-year web traffic for all four of the big players. United included, Delta, when we're looking at American, when we're looking at Southwest. I will say there seems to be a clear divide between Delta, United, American, and then finally Southwest. Southwest really struggling right now in the eyes of consumers, but you can see United is up in the upper tier with Delta, and a lot of this, when we see this, we kind of have a tale of two different consumers here, because we see consumers who are looking for just that economy cabin seating. That's really where this decline in traffic is coming from. When we look at consumers who are searching for premium seating, who are searching for business class, who are looking to fly internationally, even in that premium seating, that's where we start to see a lot of nice growth. And that's really what United has been able to tap into of late. That's what Delta has been tapping into. And I think that really is the story here for why United may be different, and why, even though we do have a bit of a web traffic decline, we see rising interest in searches from consumers who are looking to travel with United and pay extra for that ticket for a premium experience. And I think that long term, this is really what's going to help kind of mediate some of the impacts of the lowered pricing and economy seating, kind of like you mentioned, across the board, because United is really revamping its brand and providing a value proposition to travelers who are willing to pay a little bit extra for more room, more legroom, more amenities, and starting to double down on this brand loyalty for United that at one point it didn't have. United didn't used to be in the upper tier alongside of Delta. So it's definitely one to watch, and that's what we're focused in on, especially, looking ahead is, we're seeing some really interesting resilience among those premium travelers in the business class and just among leisure travelers.
Yeah, Megan, I just flew overseas, just got back about a week ago. Planes were full everywhere I flew. I was gone for a couple weeks, so took a few flights, all full. I just got offered, I'm flying in 3 hours. I just got offered to get kicked off my flight for like $400. And, it just doesn't seem, every time I fly, that I've seen, airports empty. Are you guys seeing any foot traffic that's saying otherwise? Or is it maybe that they're starting to look for cheaper flights at this point?
Yeah, and I think truly, too, a lot of the airlines are leaning in and they're kind of building out more capacity in terms of that premium seating. And so we just see a bit of a split now. The consumers, there's a group of consumers that is trading down, that may be taking that trip. If you think about this peak summer season, maybe they're taking a road trip instead, but you still have a really large group of consumers who are saying, I want to fly, and I'm not only going to fly, I'm going to pay more for my ticket. And I think that that's one thing that United has done a really good job of, is capturing a larger portion of these premium flyers. And so for us, that's really helped to boost United's sentiment in the long run. And that tends to be the longest term indicator whenever we're looking at future growth. And that's certainly something that, that seems to be the resounding theme in our data, is that United is doing a better and better job of attracting that premium flyer and then keeping them and creating that repeat flyer and building that brand loyalty.
They gave expectations for 2025, their EPS. They gave a stable environment, $11.50 to $13.50 on their last earnings report. And then also they gave a recessionary environment of EPS between $7 and $9 only. When you look at the way that the economy has come about, and growth has slowed a little bit, but it's still out there. People have jobs and people are still traveling. Have you guys seen any pullback due to recessionary fears, or maybe the job market? Because it feels like if you have a job, people are still traveling, still taking vacation, still getting on planes at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think our data aligns with that. And I think that especially in the case of a United or a Delta, these are brands that are a bit more insulated and better at attracting customers who aren't necessarily feeling the economic burn versus, a Southwest that is kind of viewed, or even a more discount airline that's viewed as kind of the lower fare option. I can see those struggling a bit more, and that shows up in our data because consumers, consumers who are on the lower end of the income scale, they are pulling back, and we're seeing that in our data as well. So I think you've got a bit of a tale of two cities here, and we've got United definitely on the upper end of that versus, say, a Southwest at the lower end of that. So for us, when we look at this, especially when we dive into specifically those mentions from consumers who are talking about United, more of them are talking about upgrading, more of them are talking about business travel, and a lot of them are talking about international business travel. So I think that bodes well in the long run for United. And so that gives us, even though we do see a bit of a pullback in those web visits, we do see room for optimism in the long term because we think that this is going to be one of the big two brand winners in airlines.
Yeah, I know you guys are always high on Delta and United. They don't report earnings till the 16th of July. Megan, if you did have an earnings score on this one, would you guys be buyers here?
So we're right on that threshold. I think our score right now is at a positive 18. So, okay. We're positive. We're technically neutral. Things look about priced right, but we wouldn't be surprised to see some momentum. We'll certainly be watching through the end of summer to see if that premium travel and international travel keeps up at this rate. If so, I do think we would certainly be bullish going into earnings.
All right, great breakdown for us, Megan. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
All right, that's Megan Brantley, VP of Research at LikeFolio, breaking down United Airlines. As I mentioned,